Hello, my name is Bee, and I'm the Moon Lodge Mystic. Welcome to my channel. I'm an intuitive reader that specializes in tarot and Vedic astrology. Today I'm here to bring you a full moon forecast, so let's get into it. Welcome back. I wanted to take a moment to introduce myself a little more in depth since this is my first major video. My name is Bee. I am the Moon Lodge Mystic, and I am an intuitive reader, as I mentioned before. I specialize in tarot and Vedic astrology. I also offer dream interpretation services. I have a huge interest in psychology and specifically Jungian analysis, and that informs a lot of my approach to dream interpretation. I'm also a watercolor artist, and I craft jewelry that I sell at fairs. You can reach out to me through my website if you have an interest in commissioning me. Otherwise, the other major feature of my website is my blog. That's where I post content related to my healing journey, specifically around trauma and spiritual healing. I also create content that I think will be helpful, that is relevant to my work. So right now, an example of that is that I'm working on an intro to astrology series that will help you get a working knowledge of astrology so that it doesn't just have to go all over your head. When I first started my website, I started out doing lunar readings for every new moon and full moon, and I would post those to my blog, and now I want to move that to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to start out with an astrological forecast, and then I will be moving on to a general tarot reading, and this is just going to look at the collective currents that are feeding into this new moon in Sidereal Aquarius that we are observing. I mentioned before that my practice is really focused on Vedic astrology, which uses the Sidereal zodiac. So if you're watching astrology videos, people are saying that the full moon is in Pisces. Well, that's the tropical zodiac, and Vedic astrology uses the sidereal zodiac. And so for me, I'm going to be reading from the perspective that our full moon is happening in Sidereal Aquarius. And so let's get into the forecast. Okay, here we are. We are ready to go. Before I start, I wanted to give a small disclaimer. This is a general reading for entertainment purposes only. Watching my content does not constitute an advisory relationship such as therapy or legal counsel. My readings are for confirmation of what you already intuitively know for yourself, not for getting answers. General readings like this are like forecasting the weather for the entire planet. I can say that it is summer in the northern hemisphere, but summer looks very different from region to region. So please use your best judgment, take what resonates, leave the rest, and let's get on with the reading. So we'll start with the astrological forecast. I'll preface this with mentioning that I am a student of Vedic astrology, as I mentioned previously, which uses the sidereal zodiac. So when I talk about planets and signs, it might not line up with what tropical astrologers are forecasting for this full moon. I believe in tropical astrology, the full moon is in Pisces, but in sidereal, it's in Aquarius right now. If you'd like to learn more about astrology and the differences between the sidereal and tropical zodiac, I have been blogging an intro to astrology series on my website that I will link in the description. Also, please excuse if I sound funny when I talk. I have Invisalign braces and I took them out a few minutes ago so that I could eat lunch. And now that I put them back in, my mouth is kind of adjusting to having them back in, and I might sound a little funny for a little while. Thank you. On to the forecast. This full moon is concluding a lunar cycle that's been taking place in Leo since the last new moon on August 27th. Not a lot has changed since then, other than Venus has moved from Cancer to Leo, meaning the planets are still in the same signs as the previous new moon. Mercury is currently transiting Virgo, which is its own sign and its sign of exaltation, meaning that Mercury is very powerful right now. Mars is currently transiting Taurus. Jupiter is transiting Pisces, which also is a sign that's owned by Jupiter. So Jupiter is very powerful right now. And Saturn is still transiting Capricorn, again, a sign that's owned by Saturn. So right now we have 4 planets that are in their own signs. That includes Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, and the Sun in Leo. This is a rare occurrence, and it's honestly a really magical time to be making profound paradigm shifts in your life. Jupiter and Saturn have also been retrograding for a while now in their own signs, and this makes them even more powerful, which I will explain a little bit. Retrograde usually gets taken to mean in Western astrology that a planet is like acting in reversal, almost like a reverse tarot card. In Vedic astrology, we see retrograde as being really powerful. When you look in the sky, a retrograde planet is at its brightest, so it is shining its brightest power. Also, in terms of the transits, we have the lunar nodes, which is the North Node and the South Node. In Vedic astrology, the North Node is Rahu, and the South Node is Ketu. Rahu has been transiting Aries, and Ketu has been transiting Libra. Ketu in Libra can bring about some detachment from our relationships, while Rahu in Aries emphasizes our personal desires and goals. Saturn's transit can bring about some withdrawal, focusing on your responsibilities or wanting to really put a lot of effort into the work that you're doing in the interest of producing tangible results. Meanwhile, Mercury's position is great for increasing one's intellect and learning new skills and information. Jupiter is sitting opposite Mercury right now in Pisces, which is where we surrender our preconceived notions in search of spiritual truth. So Jupiter is very uplifting and very spiritually minded. It's the higher consciousness type of flow. And Mercury is our discriminating intellect. It's very much focused on learning and information and analysis. These 2 planets in particular are really priming people to experience what you would call spiritual downloads or illuminating insights, where suddenly you experience this very acute understanding of spiritual teachings that may have felt really inspirational and sounded like so good and awesome, but you didn't necessarily have an innate understanding of what it felt like to embody those things or what that means to put into practice in your life. With Mercury in this exaltation state, transiting and giving aspect to Jupiter and Jupiter aspecting Mercury, we're finding that it's a lot easier to grasp spiritual knowledge in a really meaningful way, where it's just going to click into place and you can actually really put it to use in your mind and in your practice. With the Sun and Venus coming into Leo, there is an emphasis on expressing our truth with a capital T and bringing our heart's desire into our expression with others. Venus in Leo especially can bring a desire to be more expressive about our affections and feelings towards people. Mars also is transiting Taurus, like I mentioned before, which is owned by Venus and gives his 4th aspect to Leo. In Vedic astrology, the planets, they hold their own aspects. They glance. It's called drishti. And they look in specific directions. And Mars, he looks to the 4th house from his position, and the 7th and the 8th. And the 4th house from Taurus happens to be Leo. This transit is giving juice to the dynamic that's occurring with Venus and Sun in Leo. This is bringing a lot of motivation to people to express themselves and make strides towards their desires and goals. Overall, this has been a really great period for reflection and inspiration to pursue our goals from a place of enlightenment. People may find that they've been reevaluating and releasing relationships or associations that don't align with their values more on the heart level. Other relationships are deepening as we feel more comfortable expressing our affection and true feelings and our authentic nature towards the other people in our life. Now we come to the moon, which is full in Aquarius. The moon is strongest when it is full. The moon represents the mind, not just emotions, but our psyche and our perception. When the moon is full, our minds are kind of like lit up, and we are able to perceive our feelings, the sensations we feel, and our environment. You know, the moon is all about this sensorium of conscious experience. That's why it's associated with the mind. With the moon being in Aquarius and in tandem with the other transiting planets I mentioned, there is going to be a feeling of wanting to connect with like-minded people now that we've clarified our values and grasped our spiritual truth. This is really a great time to just dream big, go after what really inspires you, and make tangible, concrete actions to actualize your dreams. And really to connect with other people who share your values and the type of world that you want to see, that vision. And that concludes my astrological forecast. So now we're going to go on to the tarot reading. All right, welcome to the tarot reading. I'm going to be drawing cards from these 4 decks. This is the Whispers of Healing Oracle. This is the Art Nouveau, which I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. This is the Golden Art Nouveau tarot deck. This is the Moonology Oracle, and we have this card here because it flew out while I was shuffling, and I feel like it really wants to be in this reading. And this is the Self-Care Oracle. I'm going to be drawing 4 cards from the tarot deck. The first card will be what's coming to fruition, what's being, what's blooming right now. This is kind of like, you know, we have this full moon, it's come into bloom, so we want to see what we're reaping from this cycle. The second card will be what is ready to be released. The third card will be challenges coming in the next 2 weeks, just over this upcoming lunar cycle. And the fourth card will be blessings that are coming in for the next 2 weeks over this lunar cycle. Then the oracle cards are going to kind of give us some additional clarity and point us towards resources and practices that are going to help support the collective during this time period. All right, let's begin. So the way I do this is I kind of picked this up from Firefly Tarot, and I really like doing cards this way now. That's also Firefly Tarot. She's really awesome. You should check her out if you get a chance. But you might see cards flying everywhere, and you know, that's just what we're doing. All right, so what's coming to fruition? What's being illuminated by this full moon? Ooh, okay. Oh, the Ace of Cups. New opportunities for relationships. Newfound passions. Being involved with something that you really, really love. Those are what's coming to me right now. And then what's ready to be released. What's ready to be released as a collective. What are we being guided to release? the Five of Pentacles. I love the artwork in this deck. That's scarcity mindset right there. And then what challenges are coming up in the next 2 weeks? What challenges will be facing the collective during this lunar cycle? Okay. Eight of Wands. And what blessings are coming out during this lunar cycle? What blessings are available to the collective? All right. The Eight of Cups. What I'm seeing here is that what's being brought into awareness is this understanding of what really makes you feel secure, what makes you feel safe, what does it mean to be in good relationship with others, and particularly what makes your heart feel open. There's a good one. What allows you to occupy a vulnerable space without putting yourself into danger. So this is all about making conscious choices about what relationships we'd like to participate in, or what arrangements. Like, a relationship doesn't just need to be person to person. It can also be your relationship to an organization, to a workplace, or an environment. And when it comes to what's ready to be released, the Five of Pentacles is, all about, it's about hardship. But the thing with the figures that are depicted in this card is that they're outside a church and they feel lost, they feel left out in the cold, and they don't necessarily realize that they can just go into the church and that there are resources available to them. And that's kind of what I'm seeing, is that maybe during the last couple weeks we've had experiences that have really shown us that we no longer need to walk around the world with a perspective, or telling ourselves a story that there aren't resources out there for us, that we can't be safe with other people, that there aren't others that we can connect with and relate to who are going to treat us with respect. And I see that the challenge that might be coming up is that this realization creates a rapid development, and just a snap like decision to leave behind the stuff that's no longer working with this new belief system about our value and how we are worthy of love. The Eight of Cups is all about, it can signify abandonment. It can certainly signify like leaving behind relationships, or an entire home or a community that wasn't aligned with what we are spiritually seeking. The figure in the Eight of Cups has made a difficult decision to leave behind something that, the figure in the Eight of Cups has made a decision to leave behind a situation that at one point was really important to them, that they loved the people or the thing that they were doing, and until they got everything that they needed from it, and it became time to choose something different, to expand into something that is more in alignment with the values that we cultivated through those previous experiences with scarcity, hardship, and even maybe betrayal that's coming up for me. And honestly, it's intriguing to me that these cards came up, because the card that had flipped out while I was shuffling the Moonology deck is A Time for Healing. And with these cards, I can really see that there is so much good that we've seen. We've gotten a taste of what it can be like to live in alignment with our truth and with authentic relationships, reciprocal relationships, that now you feel the pain of realizing that you spent so much time not being in alignment, and that there are a lot of things in your life that aren't supporting that belief of worthiness and security, that maybe need to be left behind. But ultimately, this is really, uh, I feel like it's a really uplifting time, and that these sad cards, there's sadness, and you should allow yourself to feel that sadness, but know that when you are done processing that sadness, you are creating space for all these new blessings to come into your life, which is going to just shoot off really quick. I'm going to take this deck, and even though we had this one card that came out during the shuffle, I'm going to just go through it a couple more times and see if one more wants to come out. Okay. We'll do that one more time. Okay. Meditate and contemplate. Let me center that a bit better. This is new moon in Pisces. So we talked earlier about Jupiter being in Pisces right now, and how the transit between Mercury and Jupiter is bringing spiritual downloads. So this is a really great time to meditate and contemplate what direction you want to move in. And I think if you go inward and just allow yourself to be present for your inner experience, that you will get insights for what direction you'd like to move in next, like this character from the Eight of Cups. So let's look at another couple cards. This deck is much too large for me to do the manic shuffle that I do with the other decks, so I just intuitively cut this one. Answers within. Forward movement. So again, I feel like this is really just supporting what we've already talked about. Forward movement is kind of like, the same energy as the Chariot. And, these cards, I mean, we have the Eight of Wands, we have the Eight of Cups. This is about moving forward and moving on and rapid developments. So there's a shift here. And with the answers within, this is again just calling to meditate and try and just allow insights to come organically. Don't try and force things. Just set aside some time to sit in solitude, as the man in the Eight of Cups is doing. He's kind of going off on his own. He's breaking from the pack. And it is time to just look inwards and see what you really need to know. The answers are already within you. You don't need to go outside of yourself to find these answers. Nobody's going to be able to tell you what you need to do. The man in the Eight of Cups, he's acting of his own volition. He's going against the grain. He's going on what you would call the hero's journey in mythic study. You know, the hero's journey is about basically the left-hand path. It's about that realization that, you know, sure, I've grown up with this persona and I'm, you know, doing what is expected of me, what makes the people in my community approve of me, but I have this, you know, deep burning desire or passion to do something different that just is for the sake of fulfilling my heart's desire. And some people might think I'm crazy for wanting to do this, but it is just something that I need to do for me. And that's what the Eight of Cups is kind of about. And that's what Answers Within and meditation is asking you to do, to identify what it is that you want to bring into your reality. And then we're going to move on to some self-care cards. So these are some really great cards, and we'll see what practices might be helpful to get you through this period. Quickly. And then just one more card, please. One more card, please. What's coming to my mind now is that something's really holding on, and there's some hesitation to do this healing work, which is normal. It's absolutely natural to feel resistance. Resistance is letting you know where it's time to let go. All right. So we have read, we have beauty ritual, do something that makes you feel good. Reading is a really great activity to keep your mind sharp, really great to take advantage of this Mercury transit. If you want to sharpen some skills, you can read. Another thing that I do is I'm really a huge nonfiction reader generally. I take fiction breaks from my nonfiction reading, and since this site is kind of giving me all these Pisces vibes, it might be beneficial to let your imagination run wild a little while. Pick up a great fiction book, especially if you rarely ever read fiction, and give your imagination an outlet. This will really help support your creativity. And sometimes we experience cognitive fatigue from taking in information all of the time, especially with social media and it's information, basically concentration overload. And if you just let yourself read some fiction or something really playful, it just lets your mind kind of reset a little bit. It's good to balance that out every once in a while. Beauty ritual, self-explanatory. Treat yourself. Take a spa trip if you can. And if you can't, even just giving yourself a really nice shower where you spend a bit longer just enjoying the experience, that can be a beauty ritual. You're cleaning yourself and tending to your body. And I think that's all that I've got for now. That one was pretty quick and dirty for me. Thank you so much for being here. I had a lot of fun doing this. I'd love to hear from you if this reading resonated with you, and even if it didn't resonate, I'd really appreciate your feedback. Your feedback really helps me hone my craft. And take care during this lunar cycle, and I will see you guys next Friday. I upload every Friday, and thank you so much for being here. Have a great couple of weeks.